am I doing this for the right reasons, right? Do I have the right mindset about these things? Um, but I trust and believe that you do and that you are making a difference where you are. I am Dr. Wanita Mercer, and I am the Chief Heart Leader of Lead My Heart Coaching and Consulting. And I'm so glad that you're joining me today for this series. Now, if you are just checking in for the first time, you're like, what is this? What have I stumbled upon? This is the fifth episode, okay, the fifth day, the fifth step for Cheers to New Beginnings, which is the series for this August. Every month, I try to do a series to just help you in some things that I know that we're all dealing with, to give you some strategy with it, give you some things to think about and consider, so that I can partner with you in fulfilling your goals. That's my whole purpose, and that is the joy of doing this. And so, just give you some time to join me, but you know what I want you to do? I want you to engage with me, okay? Like this video, heart this video, share it on your timeline, share it in some groups that you feel like could benefit from this. Tag some people. Come on, you know someone who's trying to get a project off the ground, who's really trying to get some things started, or maybe further along in their project, but still kind of feel stuck sometimes? Well, I do have a whole series for that called 8 Days to Unstuck. But you know what? I'm here to help them today as well. Tag people. Also, comment. Let me know that you're here. Say hello. Ask questions. Respond to the content however you like. And then also react. Throw up those hearts, okay? Throw up those emojis. Depending on what I say, how it makes you feel, you know? Um, but this is the fifth day. And so today we're talking about control the vision, and then we have just one episode left. And I want to make sure that you understand I'm no longer doing episodes on the weekend. Okay, no point. That's enough of that. I need my break too, right? So the last episode will take place on August 22nd, which is Monday. And we're talking about conveying the vision. How do we sell it, right? And so, make sure you join me. I pray that, and you're watching today, that this will truly be a blessing to you and that you want to know more. You want to see more. Um, Definitely, if you need to catch up on some episodes, you can do that by going to my social media pages at Lead My Heart 2022. It's on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook pages. So check it out. All of the episodes, okay? All right, so let's get to our content. Again, today we're talking about control. Yes, controlling the vision. When we talked about constraints, it was because we need boundaries. Boundaries are good, boundaries are healthy, right? Because we can't be everything to all people. We can try, but we can't. Jesus is the only one, right? God is the only one who can be everything to everyone. I can't, right? And even if I try, it will not succeed. Okay, so relax, chill. Know that, hey, you focus on doing what you can do and do the best at it. Okay. So when we talk about control, let's think about this word for a second. Control, right? Controlling the vision, because it's so important that as you're building out your project, your program, or your initiative, that you have some things in place to be able to control it, to define it. Not just define the project, but what you're doing. How are you doing it? What type of tools and instruments are you using? That you organize some things. Yeah, organization is good. God is a God of order and structure, right? And so we also have to organize and get things in place and have structure. It's so important. No one likes chaos but the devil, okay? And so we definitely have to have more organization. Also, consent. When we're talking about being able to control something, it's your ability to give consent to something, to agree with something. And that is in the form of contractual agreements. Listen, I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. But the word says, how can two walk together unless they agree? Get it in writing, have a contract. Okay? It's important. It makes life better. It protects relationships. It's not something to be intimidated about. It's not something to find offensive. Contracts are important. Make sure you have one. But also outlining things, right? How should things be done? What are the highlights? What are all the things that should be included and considered in doing something? It's also our way of dictating, right? Dictating what something should be, what it shouldn't be. It's kind of like that scope, right? Getting back to the scope of things, like these are the boundaries we've created, these are the limitations put on us, these are the delimitations we're putting to it, you know, but it's dictating what is what, okay? Given that kind of authority with it. But control is also a sense of securing, right? Providing some security, some stability, which is so important. Who doesn't like security, right? Who doesn't want to feel safe? Who doesn't want to feel stable? And so that is a sense of a feeling that can permeate throughout an organization or your business simply because you've taken the steps to add some security and stability. Okay. And then also, control is the sense of institutionalizing things. And institutionalize means to make it a part, right? To make it a part of what you're doing. Um, is in a way of adding, building culture around it, because of things that will be repeated, constantly done, constantly pursued. Okay, so control is important, and you control, define, organize, consent, outline, dictate, secure, and institutionalize what's important. Let's be honest. If you don't do these things, it's because it doesn't matter to you. So, what matters to you? If your money matters to you, I bet you have some organization around it, right? If your relationships matter to you, I bet you have some organization around it, right? There's some things that you want, some expectations there, right? Your promotion, hey, I bet when it comes to your promotion and your journey, towards getting more responsibilities and territory at work, that you want these things to be in place, right? Because that's important to you. So again, what's important to you, you'll take the time to do these things. And it does take time. But what we're really talking about and with control is building infrastructure. Infrastructure. Root word structure. Right? Infra, a part of structure. Okay? It's so important to build infrastructure. I love that word. And it's the word we don't often use. We don't, because infrastructure takes time, but it's necessary. Okay, so let's look at this word a little bit closer. The infrastructure of a country, a society, or organization consists of the basic facilities, such as transport. Think about that. Imagine claiming a territory, making a city, and people just driving all across grass fields. They're driving and commuting however they want from one place to another. Total chaos. So what do you have to do? You have to build some roads to say within the boundaries of these roads, this is where you drive, right? That these are the ways that we get from one place to another, the way we commute, the way we transport. We use cars, we use bicycles, we will create some trains, we will make some planes, right? But that is the organization of it. Those are the boundaries. That's controlling it. Communications. How will we communicate with one another? Right? Will we use telephone? Okay, well, what does it take to be able to communicate through telephone? Well, wires and all these different things. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise, but I know it takes some stuff, right? To make sure that when I, use my phone to call people that it works, but someone had to build the infrastructure for that. Power. utilities, electricity, water, all of that. Because even water, can give us power in some ways, but wind and all of that. However, power is disseminated, right, throughout a city, a territory, there has to be infrastructure for that. I don't yeah, well, actually, I do just go and flip a light switch. But gosh, to have that type of electricity and access took a lot of infrastructure, right? Structures, actual buildings, and things like that is so important. Outlining this is where people will live, but this is where people will shop. And having different zones in a city, all of that is infrastructure, right? For order, for consent, right? Because then you're just like, people have to get permits. Well, that's the city giving consent for you to do that. It's an agreement. So I think I'm trying to build a case here, right? For the fact that we understand the importance of infrastructure in society, in our home, the walls, the electricity, the water, the plumbing. We have, sorry, I didn't turn my phone off. We have, um, we understand the importance of infrastructure in our home, right? Why would we dismiss it in organizations? We can't. But let's get some wisdom here. Proverbs 24:3 says, by wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. Wisdom, right? By wisdom, we establish infrastructure, right? Right? Through understanding. Understanding what? What we need, what needs to happen, how it needs to happen. That's how we build infrastructure. And so even within your business, and and that's what I'm focusing so now, and starting my new business, is the fact I'm just really focusing on building infrastructure, right? Of how things will be done. How will I do bookings? How will I manage money and accounting? How will I contracts? How will I manage how? And having a protocol for that. Okay. Psalms 118:22 says, the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. I love this scripture because what are we talking about? We're talking about Jesus, our Savior, right? Who was the chief cornerstone that the builders rejected. Yes, we are. But this verse also tells me the importance of when it comes to infrastructure, to not dismissing this. Yeah, because the stone that was rejected became the cornerstone. So you can think you're, you know, these dismissing procedures, dismissing protocol, not taking the time to write out contracts, not taking the time to write out how things are done and to build a structure. See, you might think it's not a big deal, but that very stone you reject could become the chief cornerstone, and it will down the road. Now, how soon? I don't know, right? But when people are not doing what they're supposed to do, they're not meeting their agreement, then you would have wished you had a contract. Yeah. Uh-huh. When people are making their own decisions because there's nothing in place that tells them how to make decisions, or um the hierarchy of decision making, well, it's the chief leader's fault for not having infrastructure that tells them how decisions are made, right? So if you don't have the infrastructure, you can't hold people accountable. You cannot have expectations. You can't, because you haven't established anything. And I see that all the time. Leaders wanting to hold people accountable to something, have expectations for something that they haven't yet built infrastructure for. Okay? So we can't do that. So organizations, infrastructure is highly important, just as it is to a city and to your home. Okay? To a whole nation. right? It's just as important. And we use words like systems, protocols, procedures, policies to really talk about just infrastructure that has to be built. No, you can't see it, you can't touch it, but you know it's there and when it isn't, right? Um, add structure to the organization to support key functions and to embed routine practices. Routine. You do it over and over. It's not going away. So for those routine practices, why wouldn't you want to put more standard things in place? Right? So let's get to the things, or should I say our checklist of infrastructure, okay, to help control the vision. This isn't all inclusive, okay, but definitely these are some great places to start. So the first place you need to have infrastructure is governance and decision structures. Who's running the show? If you're opening a business, whose name is it under? Who's the, president, or who are the members, right? Um, what are your roles? That's governance, right? Who's responsible for what? So that's so important. And still so many people argue over who's in control. Because they never took the time to write it down as if it was going to offend somebody. No, you know what's offensive? Not knowing what people are doing and who's running the show and who's responsible for what. That is offensive because you waste people's time, right? You don't take the time to be clear and to explain important matters to people so that everyone can be on the same page. So that's so important to build infrastructure around that. And then just general policies, procedures, and protocols for everything. Everything. You might think it's simple to say, who's going to follow up with this customer? Okay. Oh, just have anyone. Anyone can follow up with a customer and answer a question. But then guess what? One of your random employees calls the customer, um, and it's a horrible experience. Every question that the customer is asking, that person doesn't know, right? They have really no clue of how to answer it, because let's see, they might be brand new, they haven't been properly trained, right? So, but you thought anyone could talk to that person, but now that person is no longer a customer, and now they're running and telling everyone else they shouldn't be a customer either. And you have no idea these days how many people, how many followers people have, or if they're an influencer in some area that could really hurt your business. So now it's important to build infrastructure around that. And this is just one scenario that you build protocol and procedure around the fact that the only employees that can respond to customer concerns, okay, or questions, or those who have been working at the company, let's say at least 6 months, okay, and have gone through all proper training, okay, and then you, of course, need infrastructure around what is that proper training so that at the point that they do reach out and follow up with customers, that they can have a better experience and this customer can have a better experience. And it's just an overall better situation for your company. Okay. So that's just a simple example of building infrastructure around a problem, right? Why do you have to wait until the third, fifth, 100th customer has had that kind of awful experience with an employee? You shouldn't, right? I mean, how many times does it take? So again, it's so important that you really seek every opportunity to build infrastructure and put some controls around things. Human resources, recruitment and hiring, so important to have, to dictate how that will be done. Supervisory, management, and coaching systems. Yes, yes, yes. Who's coaching who? Who's leading who? Who's responsible for that? Right? What does the hierarchy look like? Okay. Internal and external communication systems. Again, that's kind of going back to the scenario we had. Who talks to who? right? Who's responsible for communicating certain messages? Okay, in what way are those messages communicated? Is it only through email? Is it only through written communications? Is it, you know, how do you handle communications with the public? Okay, what department does that go through, right? Maybe this department deals with internal, but external deals with public relations. Okay, but you need to have that in place and control that narrative. Information and data systems, right? Which goes to, um, technology, type infrastructure, software, data storing systems, all of that. Okay. That really takes a lot of specialization and understanding how you work. So that people can build the correct infrastructure that is going to help you be successful based on the way that you work in your organization. Training and education system, of course, that's so important to have a proper way of training people or educating people, having a course sequence or training sequence to understand who's had what training and when, by who, at what level it's necessary, okay, to control that. Uh, you get my point? And then product manufacturing and delivery systems because you need the protocols for how do you come up with products and services, whose responsibility is that, who can present a new service or product, um, then taking it through manufacturing, what does that process look like, how are you going to deliver products and services to customers, is there like one way of doing it, is it multiple ways of doing it, what way don't you do it? Okay. Um, and then another one is quality assurance and evaluation systems, right? This is so important, especially to project managers, to executive leaders, and understanding what's working, what isn't working, what's efficient, what's not, all of that. Okay. And then another one I thought about adding right now that I didn't have here is definitely safety. Safety systems in place. Safety is a big deal. We certainly don't need to leave that off. It is a priority, and we do need to add infrastructure around safety. I'm trying to think what else. Volunteerism, community service. That's another way of another area to build infrastructure in. So safety, volunteerism, or service. Um, those are the only two additional ones I can think of, like off the top. But again, this is just a good checklist to get you started. Okay. So that's it for today's content. Let me know what you think. Any comments? Is there anything else you would add to the infrastructure checklist other than safety and volunteerism? Let me know. Another one, internships, and that's those type of initiatives, having controlling that and the protocols for that. Mentorship is another one. You could really look at your vision and mission and kind of just keep adding to these checklists, okay? So I hope that helps. I hope that you enjoy this and that this is something that you can take and run with, right? Now you know how to do it. Now you know what you need to do. You have the checklist. Go build great infrastructure and don't dismiss it because that cornerstone that that stone that you reject could be the cornerstone later. Okay, so build your infrastructure with wisdom and understanding as well. Okay, just a reminder that Lead My Heart has an academic internship program. Applications are due August 31st. Looking to fill several positions, flexible, but you definitely need to be at a minimum a junior or senior in college and enrolled in an internship course this semester. Okay, so just scan the QR code or go to www.leadmyheart.com// interns with an S at the end, okay? Interns, to go learn more information and more about the application process, okay? And y'all, that's it. Follow us on all social media at Lead My Heart 2022 for more leadership tips, strategies, and gosh, leadership change and communication, and just all around, how do we do better and be excellent in the territories and with the projects that God has given us to achieve, okay, and to lead in. So that's it. That's the goal, y'all. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. Rest, enjoy life. Um, Fellowship with your family, with your church, get rejuvenated and refreshed, and let's be ready to go Monday, okay? Full of joy, full of hope, intention for another great week. Okay, so that's it, y'all. And remember, in everything you do and with everything you have, love God and love people.